Welcome to The Bible Speaks with your host, Elgin Carlock. The Bible Speaks is a daily podcast dedicated to sharing the good news of Jesus Christ, rightly dividing the word of truth, and learning how to apply it to our daily lives. You may contact Elgin at the address given at the end of the broadcast. And now, here's Elgin.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit to another edition of Words of Inspiration. And today, we'll be exploring what it means to live a dedicated life. Throughout the Bible, we see incredible examples of men and women who lived lives wholly dedicated to God, willing to step boldly into the world to proclaim His truth. Two such individuals are Elijah and Elisha, prophets who performed miraculous acts in God's name and fearlessly declared His word to a world that often resisted it. Their stories remind us that as believers, we too have a responsibility to live lives dedicated to pleasing God and serving others. When we do, we become vessels for modern-day miracles, bringing change to our homes, workplaces, and communities. So let's start with Elijah, one of the greatest prophets of the Old Testament. Elijah's life was marked by his unwavering dedication to God, even in the face of opposition. One of Elijah's most well-known moments was on Mount Carmel, where he confronted the prophets of Baal. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah challenged them to a showdown to prove whose God was real. With boldness, Elijah prayed, and God answered with fire from heaven, consuming the offering, the altar, and even the water surrounding it. Elijah then proclaimed to the people, "The Lord, He is God." So what can we learn from Elijah's example? Dedication requires boldness. Elijah wasn't afraid to stand alone for God's truth, even when it was unpopular. Dedication invites God's power. Because of Elijah's unwavering faith, God worked through him to perform undeniable miracles. In our lives, being dedicated to God might mean standing up for truth in a workplace or offering hope to someone in despair. Like Elijah, our dedication allows God to work through us to reveal His power. Next, let's look at Elisha, the prophet who followed in Elijah's footsteps. Elisha's journey began with a remarkable act of dedication. In 1 Kings 19 and 21, when Elijah called Elisha to follow him, Elisha burned his plowing equipment and slaughtered his oxen, a symbolic act of leaving his old life behind to fully commit to God's call. Elisha's life was filled with miracles that reflected his dedication to serving others. The first example is multiplying the widow's oil in 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. Elisha helped a widow pay her debts and save her children by miraculously multiplying her oil. Healing Naaman in 2 Kings chapter 5. Elisha directed Naaman, a foreign military commander, to wash in the Jordan River to be healed of leprosy, showing God's power extends beyond Israel. Raising the Shunammite's son in 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 18 through 37. Elisha's faith brought a dead child back to life, revealing God's compassion and power. So what does Elisha's story teach us? That dedication requires sacrifice. Elisha left everything behind to follow God's call, and that dedication brings miracles. His commitment to serving others allowed God's power to flow through him in incredible ways. When we live dedicated lives, we too become instruments of God's miracles, whether it's offering hope to a friend, providing for someone in need, or standing as a light in our communities. So how can we apply the dedication of Elijah and Elisha to our own lives? Number 1, live boldly for God. Just as Elijah proclaimed God's truth on Mount Carmel, we must be willing to stand up for what is right and true in our homes, workplaces, and communities. Romans 1:16 reminds us, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel." Number 2, serve others faithfully. Like Elisha, we are called to use our gifts to bless others, whether it's offering encouragement, sharing resources, or mentoring someone. Our actions can reflect God's love and compassion. And finally, embrace God's power. Dedication isn't about striving in our own strength. It's about allowing God to work through us. Philippians 4:13 reminds us, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." When we commit to living lives that please God and serving others, we create a space for modern-day miracles to occur. You may be wondering, can I really perform miracles like Elijah and Elisha? The answer is yes. When you align your life with God's purpose, He can use you to create change and impact others in miraculous ways. In your home, you might bring peace to a strained relationship through prayer and forgiveness. In your workplace, you might inspire others by leading with integrity and compassion. And in your community, you might offer hope by serving those in need. The miracles we perform today may not always look like fire from heaven or raising the dead, but they are no less significant. Every act of love, faith, and service is a reflection of God's power working through us. I'd like to encourage you that living a dedicated life isn't about perfection. It's about surrender. Like Elijah and Elisha, we are called to live boldly for God and to serve others with humility and faith. When we dedicate our lives to pleasing God and serving others, we reflect His love to the world, become vessels for His power and miracles, inspire others to draw closer to Him. So as you go through the rest of the week, ask yourself, how can I live more boldly for God? Who has God placed in my life to serve and bless? What sacrifices can I make to deepen my dedication to Him? Remember, the same God who worked through Elijah and Elisha is working through you. Step out in faith and watch how He uses your life to impact the world. If this message encouraged you, share it with a friend. Stay dedicated, stay faithful, and keep building God's kingdom. I thank you for spending time with me on today, and I look forward to our time together on tomorrow. Until then, God bless.
The Bible Speaks is sponsored by C Squared Realty and New Gen Construction Group to help spread the gospel to the corners of the earth. If anything you've heard poured into your life, please share it with someone. You can find The Bible Speaks on Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer, and many more. Follow us on YouTube at The Bible Speaks Online. You may contact Elgin at P.O. Box 5582, Ocala, Florida 34478, or by email at thebiblespeaksonline@gmail.com.